Tell me something about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I'm Elina Eriksson. I'm an associate professor in human-computer interaction with a specialization in sustainability. So I have a background as a computer scientist, and then you could say that I've more or less gone the interdisciplinary way and explored lots of things before I decided to hone in on sustainability issues, which I've been working with the last 10 years.
Okay, 10 years already.
Yeah.
What was the trigger?
Yeah, what was the trigger? So it has been a very long journey, and I wouldn't say that I've been aware and reflexive in this process all the time, but I think that it really started in 2008 when my first daughter was born, and I remember breastfeeding her at a friend's place. And he's very down to earth. I studied together with him, and he's very down to earth, a bit older than me. And he said, I bought land because that's the only thing that will be worth anything in the future. And I just panicked because I could hardly buy the apartment that we were living in. So how could I give something to this tiny little child? And he was mainly talking about peak oil. But I'd say that it's mainly the last couple of years that this shift has happened much more inside of me. Of course, the practices that you have when you have a low carbon living affects also your inner states or how you think about the world. So I had a period when I said I'm not going to buy anything new for like a year, and after that. I almost got like revolted or feeling like sick when I see commercials.
Yes.
Because I feel that it's so weird when you really don't go into any shops and buy any clothes for a long period of time. All of that becomes really, really weird, like very different.
Yes, I recognize this a lot, actually.
Yeah,
yes. I have these moments sometimes. I think they started as a big climate anxiety several years ago when I was doing my exchange studies. I was reconsidering some things, also what to do after my bachelor studies, and I was so overwhelmed by the mess that we have created as humanity, and I was really exhausting myself by going to 5 different supermarkets trying to buy everything without packaging, without plastic. But that is not sustainable either, living like that. You cannot keep going with this on the long run. So everybody needs to find their own way, of course, to live more sustainably. And you don't need to never fly again or never eat meat again. But there's the personal changes that you need to make. And I was very, maybe also naive a few years ago. And I think I've made the change of not just being anxious and mad at everyone that does not care so much, or that buys their food in plastic, but changing it to more of a relaxed and open information providing attitude.
So who are you?
I am, my name is Judy Kool. I study toxicology right now, and I try to focus personally on environmental toxicology, which is not necessarily the topic of the program, but I noticed that within toxicology there is a overwhelming focus on human toxicology, and Karolinska Institute is also a human health focused research institution, but that is something that I miss, and that maybe should be changed a bit more, that there should be a focus, or maybe not just a focus, but a certain level of relating your research and the programs that are given at KI, putting them in a broader picture and adding a sustainability course, for example, in each curriculum. I know that my program is, I hope I'm not saying anything wrong now, the only program at KI that has a sustainability course, and it was only a 6-day course in the entire program. So we already have many of the solutions to the issues that are related to climate change right now, and maybe they are not implemented enough yet. But why do you think that is going so slow? And what do you think academia can do to help this transition, make it faster?
Well, I'm going to say something that I guess that my employers won't like. I don't think that we need more technological solutions. I'm an associate professor at a technical university, so probably I should say that we need more technological solutions.
Yes.
But I don't think that is the case. So I think that the problems are much more fundamental. And I don't think actually that climate change as such is the biggest problem that we're facing. I think it's the most urgent, because if we don't stop it, we're actually going to make our planet unlivable, not only for us, but for other species as well. So it's a very urgent problem.
It's maybe the consequence also of another problem.
It's the consequence of another problem, exactly. So I think that we need to reconsider, and I think that here we need research from every kind of discipline, basically, and not the least, I think, philosophy and sociology and those kind of humanities and all those disciplines, because we have to reconfigure what it is to be human in the world today. And that includes looking at ideology and looking at worldview and looking at kind of the paradigm that is driving the development on the globe currently. And I think that we're living under this Western dominating, modernistic, globalized system. And it needs to change. We need to find better ways of seeing the world and being in the world. So I've been very inspired lately by a author called Jeremy Lent, and he's written 2 books that are really good. One is The Patterning Instinct, and the other one is called The Web of Meaning. And he's not the only one. There are many people who are looking at this question of how do we transition the society, not as individuals, but actually our culture, towards a culture that is much more caring, much more compassionate, that sees herself as being part of this web of life and not seeing as humans as standing apart or outside. We can have these ideas that we can tinker with nature, or that we can conquer nature, instead of seeing that we actually need to live in symbiosis.
Exactly, yes. We are a part of nature, yeah.
We're a part
and many
of nature.
people have forgotten about that and have become very isolated from the natural environment. I also think that what you addressed before with this Western idea of solving problems, this is also a neo-colonialistic approach, maybe. We know that some solutions work best here in the West, but there's many other places in the world that have completely different infrastructure, different culture, different way of people treating each other, traditions also, and maybe not even the financial means to solve things the way we think we should solve things. So it's really something that that we all have this problem that we need to solve, but it can be solved in many different ways depending on where you live. You cannot use the same solution here as in Eastern Africa or in India, for example. They know themselves best, and they need to come up with the solutions to the problems that we are facing. There's this movie. A while ago, I also saw this movie. It's called 2040, and there's a guy who made this movie, and he is basically looking at how the world of his daughter is looking in 20 years, and she's just born now. And there's actually he is traveling to many different places, including in third world countries, and they are already using a lot of very basic but very efficient solutions to, for example, moving away from fossil fuels and connecting a lot of small solar panels on small houses to each other to create a grid. But as you said, it's not really about the science anymore, because the science is there. It's a matter of maybe leaders taking the responsibility and telling people and giving them ideas on raising awareness and on how we can change our lifestyle.